Hello everyone, welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2 Super Mini Mail Call. Let's jump right in. This is a package from Stuart. Yes, the same Stuart who has sent in plenty of things to the mail call over the years, including the Apple II Plus, which I made a multi-part series out of, and a bunch of Atari 8-bit systems, which I am intending to get to soon enough. This is a relatively large package, and I don't know what's in here, so I'm just gonna cut this open and we'll jump cut. Alrighty, a jigsaw puzzle packed box. We have something in here which looks like it's a letter. Oh, all right, these are numbered, number 1. And inside here, there's a bunch more stuff, including very oddly shaped things. Number 2. This is like mail callception, inception here of packages within packages. There's number 3. And we have number 5. And there's a number 6 at the bottom here in just an envelope. And the biggest one in the box is number 4 here. And that's it for inside the box. We just have U-Haul graphics. All right, well, let's try to make some sense of all of this. All right, let's start with number 1 here. I have a letter opener. So let's see what's inside this letter. Gotta say, I love letter openers. It's not like it's a pretty common thing to have anymore, but I've had this one forever. It's got a wooden handle and everything on it, and it makes opening letters so easy. Hey Adrian, hope all is well in your neck of the woods, and that your recovery is going well. You know, 2 thumbs up. Yeah, that's my hand surgery, and it is indeed going well. I've been practicing my stretching here, because this finger's really tight after the surgery here, and so is that one a little bit. Thumb's not working so great, but it was never that much of a problem. It is really these fingers here, so doing lots of stretching, also trying to get them to close up, but I can close up my hand a lot more than I used to be able to, so yeah, it's going well. It's been a while since I wrote you, so I figured it was about time to put something together for 2022. I've actually been trying to put this together since late 2020. Apparently there is something called a pandemic going on, and only recently did I manage to get the last parts together to finish this up. But enough with my own problems, let's get on with this. I wanted to start with something simple, and I realized that almost everything I have sent you seems to be at least a little buggy. As in spider balls? Well, that was actually the TRS-80, which was a local donation, didn't come from Stuart. So I've been hoping that this first package will break that streak. Good luck. All right, it's squishy, so I wonder if this is, let's see if this letter opener will do the trick. I think it's a t-shirt, or it's a couple t-shirts. Oh, wait. Mixed bugs. Yeah, so these are like freeze-dried bugs. There have been some freeze-dried critters on the channel before. I think there was a scorpion and a tarantula. I didn't eat those. I still have them. And I'm not really gonna eat this one either. It looks like a larva or 2, a grasshopper or 2, and I don't know what that is, a hornet or something. Yeah, we'll just put that off to the side over here. Let's take a look at these t-shirts instead. All right, so we got Commodore 64. Nice. I don't think I've seen this particular one before. Oh, I see, but it's a medium, so it may be a little on the small side for me. Unfortunately, most of the time t-shirts shrink on me when I wash them and put them in the dryer, and then it looks fitted, and I don't really have the body type to wear fitted t-shirts, shall we say. So hopefully this one is won't do that so bad. Sometimes medium shirts fit me okay, but most of the time large is definitely the preferable size. Okay, here's a cool one. It's blue and it has the Commodore basic screen there, which is kind of cool. It's sort of subtle, so you'd have to know the Commodore 64 to recognize the shirt. But yeah, that's pretty cool there. All right, so that's 1. Let's move to 2. All right, we have number 2. It's a bit like a pyramid, so let's crack open this letter. Maybe there's nothing in here. And it does feel like there is something in here, though. Letter number 2, Adrian. Can't imagine how those bugs managed to find their way into the last package. So sorry, really. At least you had something to snack on, right? But now to think about it, you never did eat the spider, so I guess the bugs weren't a hit. Oh, not just that, if I recall, those t-shirts are the wrong size. And no, We don't need the bodybuilder image. I guess this was not a good start I was hoping for, but who knows? I hope the next item will help bring things back on track. All right, well, let's see what we have here with the pyramid. Oh, what? Look at this. It's one of those C64 30 games in one joystick things. Oh, how interesting. You know, I've always wondered about these. I know that there were like certain versions that were not just emulation, like it really ran the 64 inside the ICs in here. Maybe this is one of them. This has a 2004 date, Mammoth Toys, division of NSI. So I'm wondering if this is indeed one of those where it's actually like really good style emulation and not just like a, you know, an ARM CPU in there or a system on a chip that's just running a regular old Vice open source emulator kind of thing. Winter Games, Summer Game, Impossible Missions on there, Pit Stop 2, Jumpman Jr. Now I'm afraid to open this. Like, is this one of the kind of rare runs? So maybe I won't open this. Let me just do a quick eBay search. Yeah, looking on Amazon here, here's 30 games in one, not emulation. This is a real Commodore 64 on a chip. Modder friendly. Looks like you can add a keyboard to it. Like this really does have the entire C64 inside of here. Now there happens to be a Wikipedia article on it. C64 Direct to TV, also called C64 DTV. It's a single chip implementation of the Commodore 64 contained in a joystick. 30 built-in games. Design is similar to the Atari Classics 10-in-1. There are multiple versions. The DTV1, which is NTSC, comes with 2 megabytes of ROM. First appeared in late 2004, which coincides with the date on here, for the American and Canadian market. There's a DTV2, which seems to be a PAL version. Came out in late 2005. Looks like it has a blob on board. It says it's an ASIC running at 32 megahertz, implementing the 6510, VIC-2, SID, CIA, and PLA. Composite video, binaural audio. Looks like a Competition Pro. Looks like the original NTSC DTV1 was just regular C64 graphics, but the DTV2 and later had chunky 256 color mode and a blitter as well. And it could do NTSC and PAL, but only PAL wired in end market devices. So it seems like the actual blob on there could do both, not on this one, but on the later ones. But it was, of course, hardwired for PAL. The sound has no support for SID filters, so that might not sound super great. But the DTV2 and later added 8-bit digital sound and envelope generator. It says here that the internal circuit board has exposed solder pads for floppy drive and keyboard. Hardware modifications of the DTV are relatively simple. You can add a keyboard connector, external joysticks, floppy connector, power unit connector, whatever that is, fixing the palette problems for the PAL version, which has a bad color rendering, S-video output, user port, original C64 casing and keyboard, data transfer cable, SD interface, like an SD IEC. What? That is so funny. Internal flash memory is always accessible as device 1. However, software is not included to support write operations, so a high score saving is not possible. Also, flash devices used in a DTV are specified for a very limited number of writes only, so it wouldn't be good to write to the flash memory here anyways. Using the standard keyboard mod, the F7 does not work. The workaround is the keyboard twister, whatever that means. The DTV contains software flashable memory with a number of tools have been released to compile programs into DTV compatible flash images and load it to DTV. This is quite amazing. I wonder why they didn't keep selling this. I guess it just became easier to use emulation. You know, cheaper and easier, but what a cool thing. There's really an entire C64 inside of here on a chip. All right, let's move on to package number 3 here. Let's get the letter off here. Actually, now I think about it, that joystick was probably a horrible idea for you right now. I remember videos where you complained about the designs of these being bad for hands, and this did not look too good. Although, as I just talked about from the Wikipedia article, you can hook up external joysticks and keyboards. How incredible is that? Playing with them for any amount of time would probably hurt your hands. Not something somebody in your condition really needs, you know, with my messed up hands. Well, I'm really on a losing streak, I guess. But as they say, if you first don't succeed, try and try again. Let's try something a bit different, shall we? Third time lucky, right? All right, what do we got here? Bigger package. All right, look at this. We have an actual C64 Mini. Wow. So it's cool. I do have one of these. Well, I think I have two. One is broken. Another one works, sent in by a viewer, I think in Germany. But what I was missing was the joystick. So you kind of need that for full operation of this thing. But this has me wondering now if the other big box that's down on the floor down there, is that actually the 64 Maxi? I'm kind of thinking that's what it probably is at this point. So I don't think I need to talk much about what this is here, right? I mean, of course I've shown it already, but I think everyone pretty much knows. This is a modern recreation of a C64, and it does use emulation. So I think it can emulate the 64 and a VIC-20. It does not have a working keyboard, although Retro Recipes, Parafractic did a video on turning this into a working keyboard, and it was very involved and kind of cool. But yeah, there's not much in here. It's just a little tiny ARM processor, with flash memory, HDMI, USB input, 2 USB ports on the side, soft power switch, non-pushable keys. But the key, as in the keys, the important thing for this thing is this joystick here, which looks like a Competition Pro, but it has these extra buttons here. Oh, look at this, it has tape on the labels. Ooh. So this is a USB joystick, and I assume I probably could have used an Xbox 360 joystick. I don't remember if I tried it to emulate these extra buttons. I don't know if these are keyboard buttons or what exactly. But yeah, got 2 buttons up here, these 2 buttons, plus those, and a somewhat clicky joystick design, although it's not really clicky. Feels pretty good though. A lot of people really love this design. I think everyone knows I love gamepads a lot more, D-pads, like the Nintendo one or Super Nintendo controller. That is my favorite thing. I mean, Xbox and PlayStation controllers are great too, but as far as old things go with a really good D-pad, nothing beats the original Nintendo and Super Nintendo controllers in my mind. The best D-pads ever, for me at least. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, C64 Mini with the appropriate joystick, which adds the awesome capabilities. Why don't I fire this thing up? Let's, I'll just be recording the screen because it's a super mini mail call and I'm really lazy here. I don't actually do any kind of video capture. We've got a USB cord, we have an HDMI cable, we have a quick start guide, and what's this? Retro Reborn, and just some cardboard here. What is cool about this, of course, it's all licensed, all the games that are on there, but you don't have to do any hacking to try to get additional games onto this. It just works. So HDMI plugs in. Now, one complaint, by the way, there's no headphone jack on this. So the audio has to come through your monitor, and I'm using this Acer monitor here. This doesn't have good sound. I mean, it has I think it has some tiny crap speakers built into it, but nothing that anyone would actually want to listen to. I switched it over to HDMI. Let's plug in this micro HDMI connector here. A little power LED pops on. Awesome. There it is. Now I have my speakers over there, and there's an audio jack here. I'm pretty sure on the back of this monitor, I can plug that in. There it is. So I guess there's no built-in speakers on this monitor. But there's the music for the loader screen here. English, Spanish, French, German, and Italian. Now the funny thing is, I was playing with one of these just the other day, actually, a Maxi that someone else had. And the weird thing is, I don't understand why when you're on this screen here, why don't these buttons select the language? Obviously it's one of these. Looks like here it's telling me that this button is the back button, so maybe that's the select button. Nope. Nope. Okay, I guess that's the select button, I guess? I don't know. Let's go back to settings here. USB keyboard, system information. Okay, the C64, no firmware update, of course, that's fine. Okay, I guess I'm realizing now that it's not super intuitive. You're not selecting the language, you don't have to push a button on it. You just pick which one you want, and then you push this button here, which is like the back button. And that didn't do anything because this is all still in English. Okay, no, I get it. You do select the language. It just was already on English, and then you have to push the back button. All right, anyways, there are a lot of reviews of this thing out there. Pixel Perfect, North American 4x3, there's like CRT emulation. I'm not really gonna review this right now. Let me just, I don't know, try out a random game here. How about Winter Games, since that was recently going on. The thing I really like about the 64, the Mini one and the Maxi one, is if you wanna get back into C64s again, it's a great way. It's all just so easy to use. You don't have to worry about the emulator. That reminds me, if I look in the Quick Start Guide, is there the stickers for the keyboard in here? No, there is not. So I guess that doesn't come with this. What I mean by that is if you have a regular PC keyboard, the layout is totally different than the 64 keyboard. So I swear someone sent me, I think the person who sent me the last one of these, sent me a little bunch of stickers you could put on a regular keyboard. Anyways, the thing about these that are nice, it's a great way to get into the 64, it just works on modern TVs. You don't have to worry about composite or CRTs. It uses USB devices. It's all pretty good. Now the thing is, for me personally, this isn't as good as the Maxi, and I have a feeling the Maxi's coming because the keyboard doesn't work. So you're stuck using a USB keyboard. And in that case, you can just use Vice on any computer you have and emulate as well. Now it's not on your TV, which may or may not be a good thing, but the fact is I feel that the Mini is not that great compared to just Vice. The only thing you get is obviously you get this joystick here, which you may want to relive the feeling of if you don't have a regular USB joystick. And then you have this carousel, which is all legal, it's all easy to get, stuff like that. Now, I do have some complaints right off the bat. We go to the graphics settings here. There are various settings here for like European aspect ratio and CRT emulation, stuff like that. Pixel perfect, etc., etc. Well, the problem is for me, is there is no selection for the color palette. And the problem is for me is that this device here, I think was designed by folks in Europe, and they're using the PAL color palette here. Like when you're using a 64 through PAL, the colors are different than they are on NTSC, and they're more washed out and they're more pastel. The colors are more vibrant than this. When I use a real 64, even on a real monitor like this or on a CRT, they just are more vibrant. And I would argue that most people, when they were using their 64 in the US and Canada back in the day, they probably turned the color up a little bit on their monitor as well, which made it even more vibrant. So the colors weren't so pastel-y as this, they were a lot brighter. And I just feel that the colors here are just a bit meh. This game is pretty great, I have to say. This game is amazing. This runs on the 64, by the way. Like, I think there's a version of this for the Amiga, if I recall, and it looks very similar to this. Anyhow, yeah, so that's my biggest complaint with these. I just wish they'd add an option to use a more vibrant color palette that would be more attuned to the way NTSC C64 users are used to looking. Now, I haven't personally heard of people complaining about this who had reviewed this in the North American market, but right off the bat, I noticed that this is a problem. Now, if you're using Vice, an emulator, you can change the color palettes on Vice, and you can pick the more vibrant palettes. There's one that's like Sony something or other. That's the one I usually use, and it is just a lot more vibrant than the Pepto kind of PAL ones that this thing uses. So if the maintainers of the 64 project happen to be watching, please add some more vibrant color palettes to the graphical selection menu here. Oh, there is one thing I need to mention though, is I haven't upgraded the firmware, and maybe that's in the new firmware for this thing. So before I go blaming it for not having it, maybe I should try that. Let me go do that now. All right, I downloaded the newer firmware update 1.61, latest one. This thing had like 1.010 on it, so I think there's massive improvements. Whoa, that's a pretty nice splash screen. Okay, so this all looks the same. Let's see what we got under settings first. Computer model, so we got NTSC or PAL 64, so we'll keep it on NTSC. Boot mode, you can boot to the carousel or boot to the basic screen. USB keyboard, switch into classic mode. Okay, so let's go back to here. Language, no change. Graphics, no changes. Same old thing. All right, well, there is a little thumb drive icon here, and that's got what I had the firmware on it, and that's because I have this installed on it. There it is, Adrian's Digital Basement, and it's the right speed because we're running in NTSC mode. But the colors are so muted and Pepto looking. Like they're just they're just not, that's just not right. It's just washed out looking. It is not as vibrant as it should be for here in NTSC land. So anyhow, there we go. That is the 64 Mini. Let's exit game. I mean, the fact that you can load off a thumb drive so easily is amazing. So if you have one of these, it's really easy to run your own software on it. And of course, hook a keyboard up, then you can run basic programs just like you did. And Robin at 8-Bit Show and Tell has shown all sorts of cool things you can do with this, with these newer firmwares, like emulate the REUs and all sorts of disk drives, and it's just really, really good. This is a great emulation platform, and it simplifies getting into, oh, breakdance. I'd never even heard of this game until until Robin at 8-Bit Show and Tell showed this off. He had a demo disc that had this on it, and here it is. That's the game. This bad music. F3, F1. I hope that these become the F keys. No? Okay, I think you gotta do this and do virtual keyboard, right? F3, practice. Okay, F1 to start. Oh, whack out. Anyhow, like I was saying, that this is just a great way to get into the emulation. Okay, let's move on to the next package. Here we have number 4. What does the letter say? So what do you think of that package? A little better, I hope. I've seen some mixed reviews of this C64 Mini, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Though perhaps for somebody used to the real thing, the Mini version is not all that cracked up to be, especially without a real keyboard. I guess I'm still not quite getting this package right, am I? If I'm going to recover from this hole, I guess I'm going to have to step a little. No more of these baby toys. Time to put your big boy pants on. All right, let's see what's in this box here. Aha! Just as I predicted. The full-size unit. There it is. The 64 Maxi, or I don't think it's just called microcomputer, with a working full-size keyboard, VIC-20 and C64 emulation, and it has a bunch of 64, or has a bunch of games on it. Well, it says it has 64 games. Not sure if they're all for the 64 or some of them are for the VIC-20. Has one of those joysticks. It's, for all intents and purposes, exactly the same as the one we were just looking at, except it's big and it has a full-size working keyboard. So let's see how I can open this. I think this box is very much like, kind of like an original C64 box, just a smaller version. So there you go, that is pretty cool. There it is, the real thing. And like I just said, I'd never seen one of these in person until just the other day when Cal, a local retro enthusiast here in the Portland area, had his, and I played around with it a little bit, and I was kind of impressed. The thing that I don't know if I'm totally sold on is the way the keys look. Now, I think what's happening is the original 64 keys were double shot, right? Which means it has white plastic or beige plastic and the dark brown. And the letters you see are actually the plastic coming through, so they don't rub off no matter how much you type on it. This looks like it's just printed on with ink. And I mean, this is not an expensive device, so of course that's gonna be the case. But if you type on this a whole lot, it will eventually wear out those keys. I doubt these are double shot. And of course, this is a membrane keyboard, and you know, this is an inexpensive device. Color looks pretty good. I'd say it's a little less kind of orangey compared to the real thing. Like this is a real 64 here, my ZIF one. And you can see how the keys, the white, it's just so much better, clearer to find than the printing on these keys. And also the color is a little darker, but you know, there's really no one color of the 64. They've all sort of yellowed, and even originally when they were brand new, you had a lot of variation. Just Commodore, you know, didn't put a lot of effort into that stuff. Same port layout here, except we have an extra USB port on the back, and this has 3 USB ports here, and the other one only had 2. Power buttons in the same place. It would be a kind of cool mod to replace this badge with a real 64 badge. But the keyboard is not going to be compatible. Like, even though the layout's the same, it can't use a 64 keyboard in this because it's a USB connection. Now, there are tons of reviews of this, tons and tons of reviews of this. So I'm not really going to show much of it. I'm just going to power this thing up and do a flash of the firmware, just like I did on the other one. So as I had mentioned just a moment ago, this is the machine to get. If you want to get back into the 64 and you want to avoid all the incredible unreliability that happens, you know, with the real machine. I mean, you see me fixing these machines all the time. It's not like they're all unreliable, but if you don't want to deal with, you know, potentially broken machines and whatever else is constantly wrong with these things, then order this. It's just going to work. You're not going to have problems with the, you know, screen and CRTs dying, and you don't have to worry about buying an SDIEC, because this thing obviously just uses a thumb drive to load stuff onto it. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to this. Oh, obviously this has a better or newer firmware than the other one, because had that new splash screen, which I don't recall seeing on the other one, although maybe it was there. Let me get this USB thumb drive plugged in. Wow, you can't even use the cursor keys to control the menu here. What? Wait, oh, what did I do? I just hit a key. 60 hertz output, yes, that's what we want. Video test will begin in 2 seconds. Okay, press A. Okay, yeah, there we go. Carousel. Spacebar, A. I mean, what? This is... I don't even know what key to push to select this. I mean, I appreciate it comes with this joystick and it's got all the buttons you need, but couldn't you make it a little easier to use with the keyboard? Like, this does have a full-size working keyboard. So, okay, select... Okay, this joystick's not even working. I guess because it wasn't plugged in when I powered up. I mean, okay, there we go. Same carousel. Let's see if I can update the firmware. Okay, this is working now. Let's take out the system info. Yeah, so this firmware is a lot older, so apply the new firmware. Yes. I do like that it plays the music while the firmware is happening. No, it's not. It was on the other one, didn't on this one. Now, while this updates, let's talk about this a little bit. Plastic-wise, feels nice. It's not creaky at all. It feels very solid. I have to say, more solid than the real deal. Like the 64s are all kind of creaky. This thing is not creaky at all, so I'm digging that. What I didn't show on the other one is you can switch between a 64 and the VIC-20. So if we go VIC-20 NTSC and we hit the back button, why don't we change the boot mode to classic? And why don't we try to reboot, which is, I don't know, shut down, I guess. The power button down, turn it back on, power LED comes on, as would be expected. Now, theoretically, this should just load into VIC-20 mode now. Monitor takes forever to wake up. That's a problem with this Acer monitor. There it is. There is the VIC-20, very stretched. How do I get to the menu here? Options. Display options. Why don't we do North American 4x3? That's the mode you should be running it in, everyone, unless you're hooked up to an HDMI screen that happens to be 4x3, which that will be very unlikely. Device settings. There's the good old VIC-20 with no RAM expansion right off the bat. Print, hello, Adrian. You know, the scaling on this isn't great. It seems to be using like a integer type scaling because it's like, it's wider on that part of the H than that part and that part of the D. So, I don't love that. It obviously makes it a very sharp image, but I don't like that type of scaling. It's fine if it had a border on the top and the bottom so it didn't have to have these weird, like it's wider on that part of the end there. I do not like that at all. Let's see what I can do here. Display options. Well, there's a CRT one. I assume that's a softer scaling. It is, and it actually did away with that problem, but now it has these fake scan lines, which I really don't like either. I kind of don't love this. I would like to run in 4x3. Obviously, Pixel Perfect is gonna not have that scaling problem, and it doesn't, but now it's far too wide because this monitor is a 16:9. So I would like it to run in a 4x3 mode on a 16:9 monitor without having problematic scaling. I'm picky. I am picky, and I'm used to the real thing. And I kind of wish I don't know. I guess I'm a little disappointed, so to speak. Current model, NTSC. Let's switch back to 64 here. And let's reboot this thing, reset computer. Is that gonna actually boot into 64 mode? Maybe, yes, I think it's going to. Yeah, look how washed out the colors are. So yeah, that's my thoughts on these two devices. I just do not like the color palette and I don't like the scaling. I wish they would do a better job with both of those. I'd also prefer that the menu in the carousel, which is if I exit out of this, how do I go back to the carousel? Exit to carousel. I would like this to be easier to use from the keyboard. Like, why can't I just use the arrow keys to select this? And otherwise, I think the emulation's really good on this. It's pretty accurate. There's no major issues there. It probably uses Vice as the back end. And I think lots of people have done reviews on it. To access all the extra features, I think you create like disk images with special names or whatever to them. This is designed to be really easy to use for our general user. It's not like Vice where everything is accessible through menus. So you got to kind of do a little bit of trickery to access these extra features. But it's not that hard once you figure it out. And I know it's very, very capable, like, yeah, RAM expansion unit emulation and all sorts of other cool and capable things. Don't let all my nitpicks dissuade you that if you want to get back into the 64 and you don't want to deal with broken machines and you know, you buy 5 64s and 4 of them don't work and you finally find one that works, all that kind of BS, this is really a great way to go. This is going to be a very reliable computer in the long run. It's going to probably work perfectly 10 years from now when you take it out of the closet. And to be honest, a 64, 10 years later, may not work anymore. So yes, there we go. The C64 Maxi. I know it's not called anything, it's just the C64, but I like to call it the Maxi. All right, on to number 5 here. This is like the least mini mail call episode ever. But it kind of is par for the course when Stuart sends stuff in, because he has a tendency, oops, I didn't open the envelope first. He has a tendency to send in like massive amounts of stuff, which is kind of par for the course. All right, now that's a little better, don't you think? A little closer to what you're used to. But from all other reviews, I've yet to see 8-Bit Dance Party on this thing. I guess we'll be aiming for people with minimal taste. So that's what, a 4th dud? Well, actually, Stuart, I ran 8-Bit Dance Party on the Mini already. So there we go. I didn't run it on the Maxi because, of course, the Maxi and the Mini are identical. So there would be no difference. But yeah, I think you tried to preempt a lack of 8-Bit Dance Party and you steered wrong there. Anyways, he goes on to say, I guess what you really need is an upgrade, something even closer to the original, but with a little more oomph. Yep, I can see it now, something that shows off the true OG original gamer with one of those fancy hardcore gaming rigs with LEDs and all of that. Yeah, I think I'm finally on the right path. And this should be something worth your time. Okay, what? I don't even have an idea what this would be. I guess the Maxi, but this thing, I don't know. Oh, yes. This is one of those Commodore 64C cases that are modern manufactured cases from old, you know, whatever it's called, molding or whatever the machinery that creates the cases. I think those were bought by someone. Oh, look, this one, there's a color thing here. Why is that not opening? It says transparent right there. You can also opt for classic beige, bread bin gray, SX64 style, retro black, or transparent. And it appears that he has sent all the parts in. So there we have one of the keyboards. This is one of the later keyboards from the 64C, the beige version. And what's this here? Oh, okay. I see what this is. Oh my God. This is, I think, one of those C64 Ultimates, which, yeah, the Ultimate 64. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, I am kind of blown away right now. And let's just take a look at the case in here. So here's the case. Look at this. C64.de. So as I said, this is a modern recreation of the case from the old machinery, so it's accurate, but it's transparent. And look at that, it even has a nice badge there, so you can really show off what you have inside your machine. So we got all sorts of things here. I think these are got to be the brackets for the keyboard. We have this, which I don't know what this is. This looks like a speaker. It says U64 speaker. Okay, we have a power supply here, switch mode power supply. We have a whole selection of case patches. Ultimate Elite 64. The large ones are for bread bins. The small ones are for this case here. We have here, okay, actually these are the keyboard brackets and various bits. So I wonder what's in these boxes here. Yeah, 64C keyboard mounts. And this one here, 64C keyboard mount as well. Wow, these are very flashy keyboard mounts. So that's the keyboard mount there and there. And it looks like it comes with some screws and an Allen key and stuff. Very, very nice. I remember my Field Found 64, the keyboard mounts had completely rusted away to nothing. So I had to print some new ones. So actually I could put one of these into that case. But here's a set of 3D printed ones as well from Pixel Wizard Retro Shop here. Ultimate 64 power buttons. Looks like we have a couple genuine SID chips there, 8580. There is a strip of LEDs and they are addressable. Well, meaning they're RGB and there's a pin header. So obviously you can configure LED lighting. Here's another thing from Pixel Wizard. It says keyboard adapter for keyboard mounts. Okay, I don't know. And something else from them, another 3D printed thing. We got some screws here. There's even a case badge for the bottom. There's the assembly guide for the case here. Look at that. This is amazing. The community is unbelievable how incredible it is. Just unfreaking believable. And then this here would be the LED for the case. And is this a 2-color? Yeah, I think that's just a regular single color LED actually. And that is that. But yeah, this case, very, very nice. I think it's freaking cool. I think with the LEDs in there and that Ultimate 64 board, it's gonna look super sweet. And let's just take a look at the Ultimate 64. I mean, this video is way too long. I'm gonna have to do another video where we take a deeper dive looking at this. But here it is. So this has the regular Commodore 64 form factor. Obviously it's smaller, but it does fit into the normal case. It allows you to use regular cartridges, allows you to use the regular cassette drives, IEC, I think RGB out, dual SID support right on board. The keyboard plugs in there, right there. We have the joystick ports as normal, power input right here. It uses a barrel jack, has a soft power switch. This emulates the 64 in this FPGA right here. There's a lot of extra ICs on here. I don't know, like maybe there's a microcontroller for the ports and stuff. The SIDs are emulated as well, but you can also use the real thing because the emulation is never quite as good. It has an internal USB port here. It has a Wi-Fi module. It has a clock battery. It has an Ethernet port. It's got an HDMI port, 2 more USBs. I mean, this thing is just totally bonkers. Made by the community. Oh, and an SD card slot. Sorry, I'm holding it off camera, off the edge. SD card slot right there. This thing, it does it all. I am amazed. Made by Gideon, Ultimate 64 Elite. I see here we have an Altera FPGA, but over here we have a Xilinx as well. So, as I said, this will have to be a separate video because this video is already way too long. And I'll have to have one focusing on specifically building up this machine with the Ultimate 64 and all these accessories that are here, like the dual SIDs and these mounts and the flashy LED, color RGB LEDs. I mean, maybe the true 8-bit dance party would be with those LEDs, and I don't know if they flash to the music or something. That would be totally hilarious. And the white keyboard here, the beige keyboard. I don't know. Would the transparent case look better with this or with a brown keyboard in it? Kind of wonder about that. Anyhow, that's it. Oh wait, that's not it. There's one more thing here. Number 6. Something's in here. Feel something. Let's see what this is. So, What do you think? A hot new rig to show off at your next Doom LAN party. I bet you can get some wicked light shows going while dancing away the night. Though I have this nagging voice in the back of my mind. Didn't you say once that you were not into newer computers? You actually said that about a system from the 90s. So I guess you absolutely hate this thing from the 2020s. I'm so sorry. I guess this whole package was a complete bust. Stuff you can't use, don't like, probably don't even have space for. I definitely don't have time for it. And just thinking of the backlog of stuff you promised us, like the Atari, the Arabic systems, and the SX64, hashtag hint, hint. Guess the best thing is just get rid of this stuff. How about you find a way to give this away to some of your viewers? I will even help out with a gift card to help with the shipping. Stay well, Adrian. Stuart in New Hampshire. And what's this? A Visa gift card? Stuart? What? No, that's so unnecessary. Oh my God. What a crazy set of packages here. This is just too much. Absolutely too much. The giveaway idea, it's probably a really good idea, actually. So stay tuned for that. And maybe I'll like sign them or something and do something. I don't know, we'll figure something out. Yeah, okay, anyhow, I'm a little bit lost for words here. So, Stuart, thank you very much for all of this. It's like, it's just wild, absolutely wild. And I guess, yeah, I don't even know what to say here. If you like this video, thumbs up, I guess. Patrons, I really appreciate my patrons. Their names are scrolling up the side of the screen. You can become a patron as well if you so desire. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't. And I think that's going to be it. So stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you next time. Bye.